Previously on Dice Paper Roll. The jig was up. Busted. Lion was not fooled by their disguise. Enraged, the tabaxi used a magic belt, which tripled him in size. Smashing aside the trolley, he launched a deadly attack. Too late now for bargaining, there was no turning back. Snatch fired his rifle, Thando swung his glaive. Ramekin used his laser gun, and Brackeye slashed the knave. But Lion was unstoppable, fueled by poisonous rage. He bit hard on Brackeye's head and continued his rampage. The skirmish was fierce and ferocious as opponents traded blows, when from above a mighty crash, as a roof it did explode. Fire rained down upon them, surrounded by falling debris. The Dent Knot had fired its cannons in a deadly killing spree. Meanwhile, the devilish duo scoured the multiverse for their prey, threatening their spies with certain death if the four could not be waylaid. Atop a mountainous snowy landscape, they menaced a Yeti king. Find the meteors of power or endure eternal suffering.
Welcome back to Dice Paper Roll. This is Book 2, Chapter 14. It's like Valentine's Day. Hey. We love you. Wow. 14th of Feb. Hard. It's a stretch.
It was a while ago.
Well, you know.
By the time that this gets released.
Very long time ago. DPR is made on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation who never ceded sovereignty over that land. So we would like to acknowledge that. My name is Emil, and I play Brackeye, the Goliath Barbarian.
My name is Dan, and I play Thandor, the human fighter and cleric of Tempest.
My name's Oliver Coleman, and I'm back again playing Ramekin, half robot, half fish, intergalactic arms trader and dealer in the finest, rarest, most illegal delicacies going around.
And my name's Ben. I play Snatch, the halfling rogue, eater of the finest delicacies going around.
My name is Greg. I am the Dungeon Master, and I'm also sometimes playing Alan, Aaron, Aeon, an Asamar, Sorcerer of Hell.
When you remember to.
When I remember his go.
Yeah. Dice Paper Roll is brought to you by our very special Patreon subscribers. Ollie, hit it.
Hit it. Here we go. Thank you very much. Alex Boaki, Vlade Douglas, Danielle King, Danielle Danny Corral, Irene Kuche, Jasper Parker, Casper Maurice, Leaf Burner, Louisa Potter, Liam Sterner Matthew Undead Ban, Mika Walechi, Ryan Lewis, Sammy Duncan, Trent Denham, Trevor Goaud Chihailed. If I pronounced any of those names incorrectly, I am sincerely apologetic. Sorry.
If you would like your name butchered, you can have it butchered. You just need to jump on patreon.com/Dice Paper Roll and pledge any amount. It could be $1. It could be
20.
I was thinking a bit higher than that, Ben, but you know, that's fine.
1,000.
Yeah, $20,000 a month.
Pledge a herringbone vest every month. Yeah, if you truly love the show, it's a massive help to us because we are always looking for funds to help us with our next little adventure.
Yeah, and if you're out of cash, then what you can do is just tell your friends, like, subscribe, share our stuff on social media. Anything you can do to give the old DPR reach around is much appreciated.
Give it a little bit of a bump. Give it a bit of a review.
Reviews?
Make people listen to it. If they don't want to, wait till they're asleep and then just put the headphones in their ears.
Yeah,
Get it in their subconscious.
Make them listen on a road trip.
We're going on all out offensive, really. We're advertising on Pornhub. The whole works.
That's how I found out about it.
That's how we found you.
All right, we find our adventurers in the ruined shell of the central building of the Citadel, the burning remnants of the roof Flaming beams surround you, rubble. The floating ships, the Dentnaut and its companion ship, float above you, aiming their cannons down towards you. The steel, rusty trawler turning its prow or its ship front towards you as it aims for a ramming maneuver. The two towers on either side of the citadel reaching up into the sky. The one on the left, the slightly shorter tower, starting to crumble and collapse inwards. The one on the right, the taller tower, grappled by the second ship as figures rappel down towards the tier that remains.
As an aside, I wonder if the fact that the tower on one side of the citadel on the left is shorter, is that just you fucking with Jack because he loves symmetry so much?
Yes.
Yeah, great.
Absolutely, for frustration of artist purposes. Behind those ships, the vista of the sky and stars stretches out infinitely. The asteroid belt that forms a ring around the planet, glistening a silvery white light as the sun shines on them. The base that you stand on is silhouetted by the dark moon that hangs in the right of the sky. And to the left, the huge shape of the planet fills your vision. Its blue seas contrasting against the green of the coastline and the ash clouds and smoke that drift across the continent. You are in deep shit. Lion is clambering up the tallest tower, and explosions have just rung all around you. Fuck!
I don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty hurt.
Huh? I can't hear anything.
Oh yeah, our ears are still ringing.
I'm definitely going to use that instead of an actual freaking sound. No, you're right, guys. It's beautiful.
We gotta communicate with non-verbal.
Lucky we've been doing that this whole season.
Alan non-verbally communicates, points at the stairs down or the tower up, and does a shrug.
Brackeye non-verbally transfigures himself back out of this shape, changes shape to this regular old Goliath shape. You see a tattoo of a martini glass on his left nad.
Can you please roll me a wisdom save with advantage?
That is a 18.
That is a pass, so you are able to contain the beast and transform back into your Goliath form.
Martini tattoo shining brightly. Brackeye non-verbally communicates that he's kind of okay with either way.
Snatch non-verbally enters into a complex series of charades to tell you that he heard the sounds of Andromeda screaming for help down the left-hand tower, and he's also feeling pretty hurt, and he'd be pretty keen to get the fuck away from all these guns. I don't know whether you a perform check?
No, that Alan non-verbally communicates that he fully understands everything that you just said and is ready to make a decision on which way the party should go.
Thandor grabs Snatch by the front of his shirt and just starts shaking him violently, going, I don't know what you're saying!
Alan steps in and gently but firmly places a hand on Thandor's face and forces him away as he touches Snatch and yells out, hoping to be able to cast a heal on Snatch.
Oh yeah, because we're deafened.
He is able to concentrate and cast the spell. You are healed by 26 points of points.
That's nice.
Then I just add a little add-on to the charade, and it's like, I'm feeling fine, so I'm happy to stick around if you guys are.
Thandor looks at Ramekin and...
The whole Tight Four look at Ramekin.
All at once.
Ramekin, feeling under pressure here, like they're all expecting him to know what to do, feels like he might have an idea. Off in the distance, he sees his spaceship beyond the other ones. His famous spaceship, the space trawler, called the Rusty Prawn. It doesn't look good. It's rusty and a kind of flaking skin of pink paint on it,
But it tastes amazing, right?
It tastes amazing. Yeah, it's got edible wallpaper, which tastes like a whole range of different seafood.
I'm sold. Whatever you're about to say, I'm sold.
Great.
Scratch and sniff seats.
Yeah. Exactly, scratch. The whole thing is just full of like air fresheners, that scallops, oyster air freshener.
They're all in the shapes of the animals.
Exactly.
As well.
Yeah. To Ramekin, it smells phenomenal. Other people less so. And he wonders why his dating life has not been successful so far.
On Finder, yeah.
On Finder, yeah. He has the idea to kind of voice activate his ship through his arm, which is remotely connected to the ship.
Like Batman.
Like Batman? Yeah, like Batman. Okay, we'll go with Batman. And then call the ship down, hopefully, and they'll be able to fly up to the top of the tower, or at least find some shelter within the ship. So he activates his arm.
You activate your ship bit to summon the ship. Can you make a...
Knowledge Arcana?
A non-verbal
I don't know,
communication check.
I can talk, that my ears are fine.
A persuasion?
Oh yeah, your ears are fine. Yeah, you activate your ship to summon it towards you, and as you press the button on your ship bit, you see a flare of the ship's engines light up, and a jet stream behind ignite as the ship begins to power down towards you at full pace. And this rusty old pink trawler gains speed at a phenomenal pace as it rockets down towards the Citadel. But it's supposed to begin slowing to land. And you see that the ship bit on your arm is saying slow, but the ship is not slowing.
Oh, you forgot to update it.
Oh, no, it needs a new iOS.
Your firmware is out of date.
You got to plug it in overnight. That's the key.
Yeah, that's the thing. Okay, so my firmware is out of date. I try and find a Wi-Fi signal within this building.
As you wander around the flaming wreckage of the Citadel.
Holding up my arm, looking for a Wi-Fi signal.
Everyone
Oh,
else,
I've got 2 bars.
everyone else make perception checks.
Oops. Oh, it's a 1.
18 for Thandor.
22 for Snatch.
7 in total.
And 16 for Alan. So everybody but Brackeye notices that the
Brackey's looking at his martini tat going, oh, I never noticed that before.
Just looking at his nuts.
yeah,
That must have been quite a night.
just holding his scrot out, looking at his tattoo.
He sees the beginning of another tattoo on his gooch, but it's a bit too low for him to see, so he kind of has to get his head underneath his groin, and like he's very distracted. Is what I'm trying to get at.
As you roll around on the floor trying to look at your own gooch, everyone else looks up, and you can see that the crew on the Dent Naught have finished reloading the cannons and are moving behind to fire again. The Rusty Prawn rockets down towards you, and the figures from the second ship are landing on the roof of the tower as Lion approaches the top.
They're landing on the taller tower that lines.
Yeah,
climbing.
the taller tower is where the first half of the tier is located, and from that tier, a fountain of energy and power reaches up into the sky, creating the dome that falls down over the asteroid and keeps you from the vacuum of space.
Can we sort of tell how long it's going to take for the trawler to get to us, and like how long it's going to take for them to fire it? Like
About 3 to 6 seconds for both.
for both. So it's going to happen like kind of
super
all
quick.
Simultaneously.
Real soon. Yeah, real soon. You think that they'll fire first, and then the ship will hit after. As Thandor and Snatch gaze up at the Rusty Prawn approaching, you see a figure behind the helm of the trawler, a familiar face of a Warforged named Andre.
In the Rusty Prawn?
In the Rusty Prawn, he has commandeered the Rusty Prawn.
Is that... Oh shit, that's that robot guy, Andre!
What did you say?
Thandor starts pointing up and points out Andre and starts trying to signal to everyone to start heading underground. Quickly, we need to get underground. They're gonna come for us.
As Thandor yells it out, hearing begins to return to each of you, and the voice grows louder and louder as he finishes the sentence until the rush of the roar of flames around you and the sound of a command shouted from the dreadnought echoes down. The command is fire.
Take cover!
Take cover!
They're having a cook-off.
Everybody dashes toward to the left of the room towards the staircase leading downwards. Can you all make dexterity saves for me, please?
Where's Lion at this point?
Lion is clambering up the side of the tallest
Yeah,
tower, so he's
okay.
almost at the top.
Dexterity save, you say? Hey?
Yes.
That's an 8 for Thandor.
6 for Bracco.
23 for Snatch.
15 for Ramekin.
And 20 for Alan. Snatch, Alan, and Ramekin are able to dive into the stairwell just as the cannon fire explodes into the floor of the room.
Bracco was definitely a moment or two later than the rest of the party because he almost saw the tattoo in his gooch and was like, yeah, missed it.
Thandor also is trying to get Brackeye up, and as you two run towards the stairwell, the explosions ripple through the room and blast each of you forwards. You both take 20 points of damage from the explosion.
Thandor gets blasted. The shockwave slams him in the back, and he gets launched towards the doorway, but slams into the
Right
edge
next
of
to
the
it?
door. Oh no, I was kind of thinking he kind of gets half wrapped around it and just kind of tail spins and just then down whatever stairs and just
Brackeye also gets thrown by the force of the explosion and follows just mere feet behind Thandor, flipping down, also colliding with the doorway and rolling down, but he lands with his gooch right in the eye line of Thandor.
You smash into Thandor, and as Thandor hits into the door frame, he spins around, and Brackeye, you hit as well, but you spin your legs asunder as your gooch slaps into Thandor's face. You both tumble down the stairs and into the back of the other three who are dashing down the stairs, and you all tumble and roll until you crash into the next floor down. My knee!
Get your hand out of there!
Oh, get your hand in there! The image in the dome shifts around Arikis and Calitras, revealing a world of desert that floats among the familiar ring of asteroids. Calitras opens the portal and you step into a world of baking heat. A stone cavern lays before you in the dunes.
Arikis walks down towards the cavern, and inside the cavern before her sits a group of lizard men, and she lays down into a kneeling position and brings her lute up and says, "I think we're going to play a song, and you're going to play with me. All of you. You've got to find me a tear, and watch out for my friends." And she hands them a pamphlet.
Yes, anything, my queen. Just don't play your fucking lute. Please.
So the stairwell continues down. It's a spiraling staircase, stone staircase continues down. And you can see there's a large set of double doors revealing the next level. So the room spans the same length as the long hall and is filled with bunks and chests and containers, wardrobes and barrels. But the far end of the room, the roof has collapsed, and you can see the flaming debris is choking up the other end of the room. Smoke is beginning to fill the room, and in the center of the room there's a stone box, almost like a lift well in the center of the room that takes up a large portion of the center.
The smoke isn't the only thing that is choking Thandor up, and says
Is it the smell, or?
and says to Brackeye, "Oh look, it's a heart that says Mum."
I saw half the heart in the M and I thought it might have said masticate. It's to chew.
That's a real mouthful.
Yep. That's what I thought it might say.
You're telling me.
As much as I'm enjoying watching this, are we going in here or down?
Oh, you heard some voices, didn't you, Snatch?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, they were coming from down here somewhere.
Who is it?
Oi, anyone here?
Hello!
Hi!
Yoo-hoo!
Help me!
Let's...
I don't hear.
Braco dismounts Thandor's face and runs in the direction of the voices.
You head down the stairs, and as you do, you hear banging on what sounds to be a thick steel door. As you get to the bottom of the stairwell, the stairs end. There's stone walls all around, and a huge steel vault door stands before you. A turning wheel mechanism sits in the center with a large key lock in the middle.
Braco attempts to batter it down.
Great, give me a strength check, please.
That is 18.
You smash into the vault door, and it is thick steel. You bounce off and back into the wall behind you. You take 5 points of damage. Looking a little worse for wear.
Feeling a little exhausted also.
Alan steps in and drops a heal on you. You heal up 23 points of healing.
Cheers.
Thandor rushes up and pushes Brackeye out of the way and grabs onto the wheel and starts trying to twist it in a way that will open.
You twist the wheel one way and then the other. It moves maybe an inch around the circle and then clangs into the lock.
Have you tried the righty-tighty, lefty-loosey thing?
I'm trying here.
Snatch shares a non-verbal look with Ramekin.
Ramekin's one robotic eyebrow and one fish scale eyebrow raise in recognition.
It's like, should we take care of this?
Yeah, it seems like a job for a bit of a roguey rogue.
All right, let's do it. Double team.
Double team them thieves' tools, baby.
Yeah.
I'm so glad Snatch is making friends.
It's so nice to see, isn't
I
it?
know, it's really good.
He's been so lonely.
I know.
With only apples for companions. Apples and diarrhea.
More fun than you three, I'll tell you.
Ooh, bird.
Ooh, sick bird.
Yeah, not as much as the diarrhea, but
Okay, sleight of hand checks, please. Let's do a group sleight of hand.
18.
Oh, damn.
18, damn, son.
Snatch, you insert your picks into the lock.
yeah, I like put one hand behind my back as well, just to show off a little bit.
And you've almost got it picked, and then Ramekin steps in, his mechanical arm reaching forward, and a series of long tentacle-like tools streak out and into the lock, and your powers combined, the lock clicks unlocked, and the wheel is able to be spun.
A mechanical dildo starts trying to jam into
As the tentacles weave their way into the lock and you unlock it, the tentacles begin to retract, and as they do, the arm transforms a few times again, showing a blender and then a grater and then a wooden spoon, and then a dildo flops out and pops back in.
Later.
Well, that's a whole different meaning to double team.
Yeah, it's shaped like a fish.
All right. Hey, I'm unlocked it. It's not so good at pushing it open though.
Thandor pulls on the wheel.
And Brackeye pushes the door and looks at Alan and goes, sorry, mate.
I healed.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Team effort, hooray!
Hooray!
5-point high five.
Yep.
So the door swings open. A long stone basement room lays before you. On the left, a complex anvil and forge set up with a number of tools lay around it. And next to the forge, a rack stands with a series of barrels lined up on it. And you can see the mold for the barrels lies open next to the forge on the ground. In the center of the room, a complex lift mechanism sits with a large platform. And on that platform, a turret with a huge cannon, the barrel in 3 parts, each smaller than the next and quite long, retracted down into an off position. There's a seat with some wheels and a joystick behind.
Crossbow.
And behind that, you can see there's a small cot and a table. And next to the artillery piece that sits on the lift in the center of the room, a short, olive-skinned girl, short hair that seems to be burnt back at the front from the heat of the forge. Her skin is tanned from standing next to the forge, and her arms are surprisingly muscled for a 9-year-old girl. She's slight of stature, but very strong, and she wears ragged clothes in a pirate style with high-kneed boots. She has a strap across her shoulder, which seems to be made up of bullets connected together, and it connects down into a large gun that sits at her side, unlike any you've seen before. A series of barrels are connected in a circle.
Unlike the 2 guns we've seen so far.
Yes, unlike the 2 guns. You've seen a bunch of shitty muskets, but this bad boy is a custom creation, a musket Gatling gun.
I was gonna say it's a minigun.
Yeah, it's a minigun. Yeah, with just musket barrels basically. Around, and she hoists it at her side, her stance wide as she aims it towards the door as you burst through.
Wait, don't fire. You must be Lysandra.
Who are you then?
We know your sister. My name's Brackeye.
You know Andromeda?
That's right.
Oh, hey.
She's here, isn't she?
No, she was, but then Lion sent her out to captain a ship to look for the stone.
That's where we met her, but she was captured.
Aye, she said they'd already found it, but Lion wasn't listening. He's all fucked up with the drink.
He's also 24 foot tall.
Well, aye, he's a big cat.
Yeah, he's a big cat now.
Yeah, he's a big cat.
He's a very big cat.
Yeah, no, he's got that belt thing that does the growy.
Yeah.
So Andromeda's out on a ship now? Or have you seen her?
She was left a few days ago. And as she says that, the room rumbles again as you feel the impact of something much larger and heavier than the rain of cannonballs that's been hitting into the room. You feel a rumble, and then behind you hear the crunch of collapsing stone and wood as the tower collapses down into the staircase behind you, pushing you out into the room. Oh shit, looks like we're not going out that way.
Does that lift still work?
I've been trying to wind it up, but it seems to be stuck. On the side of the lift, there's a winding mechanism. She walks over and grabs the winch and tries to wind it around, but it's unable to be moved.
Here, give me a crack. Not to, Yep, 20.
Oh, you push her out of the way and you grab onto the winch and try and pull it around yourself. Your muscles strain and it moves slightly, and the platform begins to lift off the ground. Only a foot though. It only just starts to lift up. And you see above you a pair of doors in the roof begin to open up. This lifts up in the lift well that you saw in the next room. But it seems as the doors begin to open up, rocks and shards of wood and part of a beam fall down and bounce off the cannon.
Well, that way's out too, I guess.
Hey, it's the only way out. I've got unless we can get through that rubble.
Why don't we use this artillery cannon to blast our way through?
Oh, aye, that's a bloody good idea.
I was just thinking that.
Do you know how to use it?
Well, I fucking should. I've designed the thing. And she jumps into the seat and begins to wind a wheel as the cannon turns and the barrel begins to extend upwards. Cover your ears. She lifts a pair of earmuffs and pops them on her head.
Snatch sticks his fingers in his ears.
Yeah, Brackeye sticks his fingers in Thandor's ears.
Thandor sticks his fingers in Brackeye's ears.
Ramekin just pops his finger in his ear just to make sure there's enough wax in there to clog it up. He nods, satisfied.
Alan licks his fingers and puts them in his own ears, his eyes crossing slightly.
Wet willies himself.
The artillery piece winds up and explodes. The platform dipping back down into the floor again with the force of the blow, and as it fires, a huge explosion shatters out above you. You all duck down as bits of rock and wood rain down all around you, and suddenly the lift drops back down to the ground. There's rubble and flaming wood scattered all around the lift, but up above you can see the gap through the lift shaft out into the night sky. The debris falls down all around you. Hey, get the fucking winder, you lazy bastards!
Let's give this another crack.
Thandor assists Brackeye, which would give you advantage.
Snatch is just standing there, like the image of him just covered in like black soot and white eyeballs with his hair like blown backwards in the cartoons. There's an explosion, just mouth agape.
Yeah, you're all dirty and covered in soot and ash and...
Except for Brackeye's fingertips. They're not dirty. They're
No,
around Thandor's ears.
they're clean. And Alan's fingertips where he licked them. He's got a black tongue. So what did you get for your strength check?
A 15.
16.
Great, you both grab on the winch and begin winding, and slow progress begins to happen as the lift platform begins to creep upwards, clicking over rocks and debris as it all falls off the side of the lift platform. You continue to wind as the lift lifts up and the platform raises you, and suddenly your heads pop out above the floor of the upper level. The floor is damaged all around you, caving in towards the level below. The tower on your left, a mound of rubble, is all that remains. And you can see above you that vista of the sky spreads out above you. As the platform lifts into place, you can see above on the tallest tower a flicker of light as the tier is picked up by a pirate who swings out attached to a rope from the edge of the tower. The rope leading up to be attached to the second ship that you remember from Andre recovering it initially.
Snatch! Shoot him!
I got this! I cock the Andromeda's musket to my shoulder and I take aim and I try to shoot him right in the back of the head.
Awesome.
Just say it anywhere, man. He's pretty far. But you go for the head.
No, I'm feeling confident. Tomorrow's on my side.
You raise the rifle to your shoulder, taking a knee as you steady yourself and aim up towards the swinging pirate.
Squinting through your bruised eye.
Yeah, I closed the wrong one for a second. Go, oh no, that's not gonna work.
Squinting through your black eye.
I mean, you could use the
Oh, that's pretty shit.
weapons expert who designs the weapons to try and hit it from a distance. But no, the third shot ever. Yeah, have a shot.
Yeah, thanks for the support, Brackeye. And I go, click. 15.
Shot rings out as you fire the musket, and you have held it correctly, the rifle into your shoulder, aimed upwards, but this is a swinging, moving target flying through space at about 500 feet away. You fire up, and the shot whizzes past the pirate as he sails out on a pendulum swing underneath the ship, which is lifting up away from the tower.
And I go, oh well, I guess there goes our shield. That's gonna mean we're probably all gonna be sucked into space any second now. Sorry guys, it was
Everyone
nice
hold
to know
their
you.
breath.
Not so fast, guys, as Ramekin engages his laser arm to take another shot at this pirate swinger.
Well, they all are, aren't they?
Roll. Ooh, 20!
Yeah, 20!
Just when you need it.
Roll for damage.
Yeah, roll for, twice.
What?
You roll again?
Oh. 10, 11 damage in total.
Ramekin, you point your arm up towards the swinging pirate, the automatic targeting system in your arm tracking the movement of the swinging pirate. Your arm swinging from side to side. Energy builds in the arm as it twists around and the barrel pops out the end. A beam of light growing, a circle of light growing at the tip of the rifle and firing upwards towards the pirate. And as this line of light streaks out towards the swinging pirate, the shape of a huge white lion leaps through the air and grabs onto the pirate that hangs beneath, and the beam strikes into his back, scorching him as he falls and catches the foot of the pirate with one hand. So there's the ship flying above, a rope hangs down with these two swinging figures, a pirate barely clinging on, and lion hanging onto his foot. The pirate has the rock clutched in one hand. The dome around Arikis and Calitras flickers, and suddenly a forest world fills their vision. The forest burns and ash and fire fill the sky. Next, a temperate world flicks across the screen. Fields of burning crops choking the cities that lay between them. Only one city remains untouched, a stone city covered by a red-tinged dome. Calitras opens the portal into a city filled with pained human faces, painted with fear.
A red-cloaked figure leads Arikis before her along the castle walls towards the king. She reaches the king in black armor and says, "Why, hello there. I think you know how this is going to go."
Yes, my queen. I suppose I do.
Indeed. She hands him a pamphlet.
These are the ones I have to look out for, then.
Indeed. And find me the tier.
The what?
The tier.
Well, what's that then?
It's like a meteor. It's in page 3, section 4.
Oh, that's this thing here on this page, right? Oh!
Yes.
Oh, it does look like a deer. I'll keep an eye out, my queen.
Why didn't she just say a meteor?
I don't fucked if I know.
I don't know, a bit confusing, isn't it?
That seems a bit confusing, doesn't it?
You can see in the rubble on the left, the pink rusted shape of the rusty prawn has rammed into the tower, causing it to collapse, and is half buried in the rubble, face down. The thrusters on the back of the ship still firing as a familiar shape clambers out of the cabin onto the broken floor. Andre steps out, his figure fully healed, using the technology in your ship to enhance his body, and he lifts up his two arms, each with their own cannon, and his head tilts slightly to the side. So Andre steps out of the ship, two laser cannon arms reaching up towards you, and he fires two beams towards you, Ramekin. One of them hits, and the light beam scorches out and strikes into you, doing 18 points of damage.
Ramekin!
As you stumble backwards, Andre steps forward implacably, moving towards you.
Sure, why I really feel like chips.
Snatch.
Burning fish, cooking fish.
Right, yeah.
Who wants to have a go at Andre?
Well, I'd like to have a go at Andre, but I think I'd rather have a go at this massive cannon thing. Excuse me, Lysandra, how about you let me have a go at that?
Hey, sure thing.
This is your sister's, you can use this.
No, you keep that one. That's an early prototype. Yeah, you might need this. She throws you a bandolier of ammunition, and there's 50 bullets on the bandolier. 5 of them are marked with a red tip and 5 of them with a black tip. The rest are normal, a brassy color. And she steps off the cannon and brings her Gatling gun to her side.
So as the bandolier flies through the air, Snatch catches it, and in one kind of movement he swings it over his shoulder, and then he runs up onto the cannon and takes a seat, and I guess spends the rest of the round going, now how do I use this fucking thing? Can I roll an intelligence check or something?
Yeah.
20! That's purple dice!
Smart motherfucker.
mate.
I don't even need that fucking Tamora coin. Or actually, maybe that's what's working.
So what are you intending on doing with the... You gotta hit
Blasting
Andre.
the fuck out of Andre before my companions run in there.
You jump up and Andre's stepping forwards, firing the lasers at everyone. Everyone starts to take cover behind the artillery piece as these beams of light fire around, exploding into the ground. And he walks forward, a war machine firing away at you, and you jump into this artillery piece, not really knowing what the fuck you're doing, but having a good old guess. And as you do, you spin one wheel and then another as you lower the barrel and spin the turret around to face directly against at Andre.
Yeah, luck's on my side. I hope. And I fire. Press the button.
You press the fire button and the cannon detonates, a huge artillery shell smashing into Andre's chest and lifting him up back towards the rusty prawn. And as he flies over the top of the rusty prawn, the artillery shell explodes and blasts a lot of the rubble off the top of the rusty prawn, which begins to skid forward slowly.
See, I meant exactly to do that, you guys. Now do whatever you were going to do.
Yeah, I take back what I said about you being inexperienced with weapons. Snatch, that was bloody awesome.
That was fucking great. Let's get on the ship.
That was pretty amazing.
I know, I've got a massive erection.
As you watch the Dentnaut and the second ship turn and begin to fly away, the smaller ship flying above and dropping the pirate with the Tia and Lion onto the deck of the Dentnaut. Alan runs for the Rusty Prawn.
Yeah.
Thandor's running straight for it, yeah.
Onwards!
Ramekin too.
You all run across and leap onto the deck of the Rusty Prawn.
Wait for me.
And you clamber up, reaching down and picking up Lysandra and Snatch.
Brackeye attempts to bring the artillery cannon with him onto the Rusty Prawn.
Make a strength check for me. With advantage because that's fucking so cool.
8's on both. So 12 total.
You try to lift the artillery cannon, but it is way too heavy.
Leave it, Brackeye.
Ramekin, still sore from his deep-fried chest wounds, runs into the ship, tries to jumps into the pilot's seat, and checks that everything's working to be able to reverse out and fly back and follow the Dentnaut.
Yeah, you have full control again now that Andre is away from the controls of the ship.
Great, I don't need to do any checks for that. All good.
No, you are very familiar with your ship. As you step in, you gain control, and you see the controls for the net crane on the side of the panel. Pick up the artillery piece.
Yes, I do. Yeah. I see what you're doing.
Brackeye's still on the artillery piece trying to drag it with him.
Ramek's like, Brackeye, I got this, buddy. I got this. He on the net crane. The net crane blasts out the back, wraps around the artillery piece, and heaves it into the Rusty Prawn.
Brackeye not hearing the sound of Ramekin.
Over his own ambition, yeah.
Yeah, just straining against the artillery piece. You feel a great sense of accomplishment as it lifts up and onto the back of
He's
the...
like riding it like in Doctor Strange.
The artillery piece lifts up and sits on the back of the ship as it begins to lift up out of the rubble of the citadel, and as the ship begins to turn and lift away from Nightport, it begins to fall away behind you, and you can see the thick shield above, no longer supported by the beam of energy, begin to thin out.
So
no.
I quickly close up the back door of the ship so that the vacuum is sealed and our eyeballs don't get sucked out when the vacuum of the world.
The back door seals up, and you can all see through the porthole as the dome above Nightport begin to flicker and thin until finally it disappears, and you see the figures of the people of Nightport out on the street begin to float up into the air and freeze in place as they implode. You can almost hear faint popping sounds. Like you're eating fish roe. Or popping candy.
Oh my god, that's fucked.
Surely Ramekin takes exception to the fish roe reference. My god.
That's why I went to popping candy.
Thank you.
Thandor puts a hand to his chest and goes, "Oh no, I'm so sorry," and casts Cure Wounds on himself. I'm in dire need of some HP.
Brackeye puts his hand on Lysandra's shoulder and says, "I'm really very sorry, but I feel like I'm pretty sure that, well, Andromeda was down there."
No, she was on a ship. And frankly, she went out looking for the tear. Remember, I told you just like 5 minutes ago, you fucking big rocky bastard. And by the way, it doesn't matter. I don't care about them. Fucking hated most of those cunts.
Well, even your sister?
No, not my sister. She's on a ship.
What about those people who made that delicious porridge?
Oh, no, I did like them. Yeah, Barry.
Oh, Barry.
Oh, Barry's dead.
Oh, no, Barry.
Oh, no. Oh,
Well,
I did like him. Hey.
There's only one thing left to do.
Follow that ship!
Yeah.
I was going to say Scrabble, but that's cool. Yeah, let's do that.
Uno?
Uno Stacco?
So you turn the ship, and you're all in the bridge, the cockpit of the ship, as you turn the trawler, and It's not got a great turning circle. Ramekin sits hammering out at the controls as the ship slowly turns to face towards the Dentnort and the second ship. And as you can see, they've lifted up further away from Nightport, but seeing you in pursuit, they turn so that their sides are facing down towards the rusty Prawn.
Do you have any other kinds of weapons on this trawler of yours, other than that big artillery thing that we just got?
No, I don't. Ramekin can see on the control board that all the other weapons that he had were kind of destroyed when it crashed into the ground just before. He used to have like a Gatling gun at the front, and then a couple of laser guns, and then another thing that shot out exploding sardines. But it's gone.
I'm very disappointed that one's not working.
I know. Of all of them, the exploding sardines.
Above them, there's another capsule on the ship that is kind of like vacuum sealed. So Ramekin has the idea to put the artillery piece, if someone can lift it, into that vacuum compartment, and then they'll be able to use the artillery piece to shoot the ship out at them.
Good plan, Ramekin. I guess I can try.
I guess I can watch.
I'll try and help you.
Give us a hand, why not?
Yep.
Well, if we destroy it, will we destroy the tier?
Oh.
That's very wise of you, Aylan.
I know, I'm good like that sometimes.
Okay.
We're gonna
Is
have to
there
do a
any
boarding.
chance we can board that ship with this ship? Can we lighten the load to make this thing go faster?
Could we ram it?
Yeah.
Ram it. They don't call me Ramekin for nothing.
Hey.
Rammy can, I definitely can. Rammy, yes I can.
Shit, hold on to something, they're firing at us!
The sides of the two ships explode in sparks, and what would be smoke just dissipates into the vacuum of space as a series of cannonballs soar through space towards you, peppering the ship. Everyone make a dexterity save for me.
I hate to be a scientific Steve here, but if they're in the vacuum of space and it's a combustion kind of cannon, then you'd need oxygen to make the fire for that. So it's just,
why
The ships are in a bubble, so the bubble around the ships allows the oxygen to fire the combustion, and then the cannonballs fly out through the side of the bubble and are no longer restricted
And that's why
by
it dissipated.
the friction.
I was about to be like, science.
a wizard did it. Yeah.
A wizard did
A
it.
wizard did. Oh, shit. What were we doing? Deck saves?
Yep.
Yeah, I got a 6.
12.
31.
16.
18 on the dice. 9 for dexterity plus 4 for my coin.
Hey, don't you appreciate me giving you that coin all that time ago?
I don't. Ramekin, what did you get? Sorry.
16.
16. Okay, so Ramekin and Snatch don't take any damage. The ship is rocked though, and sparks fly out of the console as Aylan, Brackeye, and Thandor are knocked off their feet. Steam and smoke begins spewing out of the overhead compartments as Thandor, Brackeye, and Aylan take 18 points of damage.
Oh, I'm so glad I did that cure wounds on myself before, because I would be fucking dead.
What are you on?
18 you said, yeah?
Yep.
What's that? 14.
And what are you on, Brackeye?
26.
Jeez, that's low for you.
Sure is.
Never really get that low. Nope.
The ship alarm sounds at you as smoke.
Just a
and
dude in the
steam.
corner.
That's what I was doing.
As the controls sort of flicker under your hands, Ramekin.
Ramekin quickly runs a diagnostic test on the panel to his left and says that the outside flaps, one of the engines on the right-hand side, has lost some of its combustive qualities. He's been flying this ship for a long time. He switches power further to the furthest left engine so that it equalizes. You know what I'm talking about.
Amazing.
So to see if the ship kind of re-engages maneuverability and power.
As it does, you realize that whilst you can engage the ship to power forward only at maximum power, you're unable to reduce the power settings on the engine, and the ship lurches forward as it rockets up towards the Dentnort.
You need me to do anything?
just hold on tight.
All right,
Ramekin shouts, "Hold on tight!" to everyone as he decides to ram directly into the dent north.
Maybe you have any spacesuits?
What about that pressurized capsule above us?
That sounds like an escape route. I don't know.
Let's get in.
Yeah, so you guys, Ramekin tells you guys to get in the capsule.
All right.
No, Ramekin, are you coming with us?
You guys go first. I've got my trusty
Brick.
arm.
Thought on the acceleration.
Oh, yeah. You guys go. Don't worry about me.
Alan clambers into the sealed capsule above as the ship rockets up towards the dent north. You can see the figures scrambling to reload the cannons as he clambers into the capsule.
Snatch takes a step towards the capsule and then he stops and he looks at you, Ramekin, teary-eyed, and he steps forward and he gives you a really tight embrace just for a second and he goes, "Thank you."
Ramekin flinches and kind of wobbles his flipper and tries to reach around and says, "It's been a pleasure, Snatch."
"It has." And I do a sleight of hand check to see if I can pickpocket him as I run into the capsule.
Oh my god.
Does it do?
Ramekin feels Snatch's hand going into his back pocket
But assumes it's in advance.
and then goes to awkwardly kiss Snatch goodbye on the lips.
And Snatch, not wanting to give away the fact that he just fucked that up, goes with it.
And its tongue.
Snatch and Ramekin deeply kiss as they say goodbye to each other, and everyone else climbs into the capsule.
I have to go.
The ship rockets up as Snatch clambers in, and as it approaches, another volley of cannon fire rocks the rusty Prawn as Lysandra is the last to climb into the capsule. The door of the capsule shuts behind you, and Ramekin, you can see that while you were aiming for the dent north, it has now lifted slightly, and you're not quite going to connect with the side of the great ship. But at the last moment, as the rusty Prawn flies underneath the dent north, you hit the eject button on the capsule, which flies up into the bubble around the ship and lands smack bang in the center of the deck. The rusty Prawn rockets past the dent north out into the depths of space.
So much for getting that space quail, says Ramekin.
Sometimes we just don't get what we want. Whoop, 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 whoop. And that's where we'll end this chapter.
Well, that's it for another chapter of Dice Paper Roll. That was chapter 14, in which Ramekin departs into space. Will he find his space quail? Will the Tite 4 rescue the Tier? Will they find Andromeda? I don't know. Find out in a fortnight on another chapter of Dice Paper Roll. Thanks for listening, and say broomsticks, and that's
Broomstick!
yeah, broomsticks.
Sticks.
Three.
Tree. Yeah. Okay. Let's put a line through that one. 1 out of 10 would not repeat. Welcome to the Loose 10 with the Tide 5, a dissection. Yeah, you're off into space, Ramekin.
Yeah, it looks like he kind of got out of there, didn't he?
Yeah, I made it at the
end.
last second. There's a chance that you may come back.
There is a chance that he may come back. I'm wondering if Ramekin kind of, he's had a few close calls in his life. That was a few too many close calls in a row. He's wondering if it's worth it to hang out with these guys.
He's only met him for a couple of times. Would he crash his ship, his pride and joy, the rusty prawn, into the Dentnot?
No.
Well, I
He knew what
mean,
was
he
doing.
tried, right? You tried to ram it.
I tried to ram it in. Yeah.
You lost control.
You're an international arms dealer and what is it? A collector of fine
Illicit
delicacy.
culinary delights.
I think
You've been into some hairy situations, I would assume.
it's true, but none
Especially
as
Snatch.
selfless as this. And I think Ramekin was kind of surprised by the selflessness that he showed in that
Oh, he didn't like
situation
it.
where he went to ram the other thing, and then when it suddenly moved away, there was kind of this moment of clarity where he's like, "Whoa,
Phew.
That was a dumb idea.
what the hell was I thinking?"
I just kissed a halfling. What the fuck?
Actually,
I don't think he
fuck
regretted
these
that.
guys off. Yeah, they just fire the capsule out.
Yeah.
I got a bit of a fan theory that he had the opportunity to go down with the ship and steer it into the heart of the Dentnor. He's like, oh, it's off course. Can't do anything. Whoops.
Bye, guys.
I missed us.
Took a while to
Sorry.
fix. But you got a sick new gun for your ship.
I did get a sick new gun, yeah, and I think I'll be able to make a little bit of profit out of that, which is why I think Ramekin wasn't too annoyed about losing the space quail. He's got this nice artillery piece which he's going to be able to sell on
Gumtree.
Gumtree, Craigslist, that sort of thing. Gumtree.
You had your opportunity at the Space Quail at the beginning of the second episode you appeared at, but you fucked it.
Much like you, it flew away off into the, wobbler yonder.
Exactly. Maybe we'll be reunited at some point.
Yeah, well, it's good Ramekin flew off into the sunset because, maybe you can come back one time.
And everybody else floated off into the sunset,
Now
except for
I'm
us.
a dick.
That was heavy.
Oh man, that was fucked.
Watching
I know.
everyone die. Oh my God.
I'd been thinking it. I'd actually thought about that when it was like you were giving us the option of like, do you get the
Tier.
the tier, or do you rescue the prisoners in the dungeon? And it's like that's the tier that's charging
The shield.
shield. If we take that away, everyone dies.
we
It's
saved-
almost like
we saved the one.
trolley-related problem.
Yeah, we
almost.
yeah,
Yeah, right.
saved the one instead of the many.
I'm just going to assume that Brackeye isn't adept enough in space knowledge to know that was the consequence of the action.
Yeah, it depends on each of the characters and on how much they would have known about what sort of effect that would have had. But, I mean, pretty risky living on an asteroid.
Yeah, they brought it upon themselves, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like all the people in the Pacific Islands. It's risky living out there. The oceans are rising.
Yeah.
Is
No?
it? But
Too
is
soon?
it
That's
more
their
risky?
choice.
Is it more risky to be living on an asteroid or a planet that is being bombarded by fucking
Meteorites.
meteors and fucking is in like a nuclear winter?
So the point in which a meteor becomes a meteorite is when it enters the Earth's atmosphere.
Ah,
Thank you.
There you go.
Oh, thank you. The age quiz.
Yeah, right.
I wish I knew that every time I was fucking DMing last.
I'm just thinking back, how many times have I fucked that up so
Yeah.
far?
I couldn't
Yeah.
even. I wasn't even ever
So then
sure.
what
I was.
is an
I
asteroid?
was counting. It was
think I-
34.
I think I called it a comet at one point. Yeah.
Comets have are they asteroids with an
tail.
orbit or they have a tail?
I think it's a comet.
Comets
a
are
comet.
in orbit.
Or in
yeah.
orbit, yeah.
Oh, they're in orbit on it. So then what is an asteroid?
It's an it's
Floating
the same
through
thing,
space.
but it
It's
doesn't
free.
have a-
It's a freelancer.
But an
It's the-
asteroid doesn't have a tail, is what I'm going to say, and a comet does
Yeah, but-
have a tail.
So what about the asteroid belt? Isn't that then in orbit of the sun?
Yeah,
The
but
asteroid
that's
belt
just
outside
floating.
of...
That's
No, it's-
floating rocks that are just. Whereas a comet has something that is, as it's flying through, it's blowing off ice and dust, and so it has a tail. That's what makes it a comet, as opposed to an asteroid. I knew this. Fuck yeah.
Our one astrophysics major that's listening is just shaking their head.
Oh yeah, just the one. There's only
Whoa, yeah.
one. Whoever there's, I bet there is
We
a
have
bunch
dozens of astrophysics
that listen to this show that is into D&D and loves it and loves the attention to detail. Thank you, Derek.
I love...
Derek, if you'd like to let us know just exactly how accurate that was, feel free to hit us up on Twitter.
Yeah, please do. Please.
You guys are just going to get a whole lot of people fact-checking all these episodes now.
Please shit post us on Twitter. Yeah.
I hope so. I hope that there is that many people listening to this and going I don't know about that, and fact check us.
All the mistakes that we've been making in the past 60 episodes or so have been deliberate because we just really want people to fact check us.
Yeah, I know. All that stuff about like the moons and how that would possibly happen and the collision and all that sort of stuff.
All the mistakes
We've just
that-
been wanting it.
They're actually a big
Feedback.
scavenger hunt, and if you collect all the mistakes we've made in the podcast and take the first letter out of each of those mistakes, it spells a phrase, and that'll lead you in the direction of a secret buried treasure. And if you find that buried treasure, well done you.
Yay.
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 Ollie, it's been awesome to have you at the table, man.
It's been amazing, man.
Thanks so much for having me. What an amazing introduction to D&D and the world of role-playing.
Well,
I
like
had
a-
a really amazing
such
time.
an
Like a fish
character.
to water, man.
Yeah.
You took it to it.
Hey.
Such an amazing character.
I've had a really good time. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, let's hope Ramekin flies again. Good night, all.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Type 5?
Out. Should we take care of this?
Yeah, it seems like a job for a bit of a roguey rogue.
All right, let's do it. Double team.
Double team them thieves tools, baby.
Yeah.
I'm so glad Snatch is making friends.
It's so nice to see, isn't
I
it?
know, it's really good.
He's been so lonely. With only apples for companions. Apples and diarrhea.
More fun than you three, I'll tell you.
Oh, bird.
Sick bird.